What if I told you that the world's biggest sporting event actually started with just 13 teams? It's kind of crazy to think about, right? Today, the FIFA World Cup attracts literally billions of viewers. It creates these unforgettable legends and unites people from every single corner of the planet. But this massive spectacle we know today, it definitely didn't just appear overnight. It has a rich, dramatic, and sometimes pretty controversial history that spans almost a century. So let's dive into this explainer and travel through time, looking at the defining moments, the rise of footballing icons, and the staggering numbers that make this tournament an unmatched global phenomenon. Now, really think about the sheer contrast between that inaugural 1930 tournament and the massive global spectacle we watch today. In the early 20th century, international football was largely confined to the Olympic Games. But FIFA president Jules Rimet, well, he had a vision for a standalone world championship. And when that first tournament kicked off, there were no global qualifiers, no massive billion-dollar broadcast deals, and certainly no 48-team rosters. It was this intimate, highly experimental gathering that would eventually change the landscape of global sports forever. In this explainer, we're going to cover the birth of the Cup, the rise of legends, global expansion and icons, the modern era, unforgettable World Cup records, and finally take a look ahead to 2026. Section 1. Birth of the Cup. The 1930s to the Maracanazo. Okay, so the very first World Cup took place in Uruguay back in 1930. Why Uruguay? Well, they were celebrating their 100th anniversary of independence and had recently won Olympic football gold in 1924 and 1928. Now here's the catch. Many European teams straight up declined to participate because of the long, expensive sea voyage, so only 13 teams actually made the trip. In the end, host nation Uruguay defeated Argentina 4-2 in front of nearly 70,000 spectators to become the first ever champion. Soon after, Italy really established itself as an early powerhouse by winning in 1934 and 1938, and by then, a qualification process had to be introduced because popularity was surging. But then, tragedy struck. World War II forced the cancellation of the 1942 and 1946 events. When the Cup finally returned in 1950, hosted by Brazil, the world was absolutely ready for a healing celebration of sport. And that 1950 return brought us one of football's greatest shocks. Uruguay famously upset host nation Brazil 2-1 in front of a record-breaking crowd of nearly 200,000 stunned fans. This event is etched in history as the Maracanazo. Because of the unique group stage format that year, Brazil only needed a tie to secure the Cup, and they even scored first. But Uruguay fought back, and Alcides Gigia netted the winning goal. The shock was so profound it acted as literally a national trauma for Brazil. It directly led them to completely abandon their white uniforms in favor of the iconic yellow jerseys they still wear to this day. Section 2. The Rise of Legends. Miracles, Controversies, and Global Superstars. So moving into the 50s and 60s, this era brought some incredible narratives. It started with West Germany's Miracle of Bern in 1954, where they came back from a 2-goal deficit to defeat a legendary Hungarian squad led by Ferenc Puskás. But it was in 1958 that a singular figure stepped onto the pitch and changed football forever. A 17-year-old Brazilian named Pelé arrived on the world stage, becoming the youngest player to score and win a final. A global superstar was born. He helped secure the Cup again in 1962, and by the time the 1970 tournament in Mexico concluded, Pelé had guided what is widely considered the greatest football team ever assembled to a triumphant victory over Italy. And because they won 3 times, Brazil actually got to keep the original Jules Rimet trophy permanently. We also have to talk about 1966, when host nation England won their first title against West Germany. This match featured a dramatic goal decision that remains one of the most highly debated moments in football history. In extra time, with the score tied at 2-2, England's Geoff Hurst launched a powerful shot that hit the underside of the crossbar and bounced straight down. The referee consulted his linesman, the goal was awarded, and England took the lead. Even today, with all our modern technology, debates still rage on about whether the entirety of that ball actually crossed the line. England ultimately won 4-2, cementing a legendary, if somewhat polarizing, victory. Section 3. Global Expansion and Icons. New Trophies and the Age of Maradona. Entering the late 70s and 80s, the tournament saw massive expansion. Since Brazil kept the old trophy, a beautifully redesigned cup was introduced in 1974, which West Germany lifted on home soil, and it's the exact same trophy teams fight for today. Argentina won its first cup in 1978, and as the tournament grew to 24 teams in 1982, it opened doors for more diverse global participation. Then came 1986 in Mexico, where Argentina's Diego Maradona produced two of the most iconic moments in football within 4 minutes of each other. Playing against England, with the recent Falklands War as a tense historical backdrop, Maradona first leaped for a ball against the English goalkeeper and punched it into the net. A handball the referee completely missed. Just 4 minutes later, he ran 60 meters, weaving past 5 English players to score what is universally known as the goal of the century. After the match, Maradona famously explained that highly controversial first goal to the press with this exact quote. It coined the phrase, "the hand of God," and honestly, it perfectly encapsulates the duality of that match. One moment of unpenalized, controversial cunning, followed almost immediately by a moment of undeniable, divine-like skill that propelled Argentina toward their second World Cup victory. Section 4, The Modern Era, a truly global spectacle from 2002 to 2022. This modern era saw the tournament reach incredible new geographic frontiers. It expanded to 32 teams in 1998, where host France won its first title, led by Zinedine Zidane. In 2002, Japan and South Korea successfully co-hosted, and Brazil captured an unprecedented 5th title. Then in 2010, the sound of vuvuzelas echoed globally as South Africa became the first African country to host, watching Spain secure its first-ever championship. And along with these new frontiers came absolutely dramatic milestones. We saw Zidane end his spectacular career with a shocking red card headbutt in the 2006 final. We saw Luis Suarez purposefully block a ball with his hand in 2010 to save Uruguay against Ghana. We witnessed Germany completely dismantle host nation Brazil 7-1 in a truly unbelievable 2014 semifinal. France triumphed again in 2018, and of course Qatar 2022 gave us what many considered the greatest final ever played, ending in an epic 3-3 shootout where Lionel Messi finally captured his 3rd World Cup title for Argentina. Section 5, Unforgettable World Cup Records, the numbers behind the passion. Before we look to the future, let's take a step back and actually quantify this historic greatness. The passion is amazing, but the hard statistics show just how incredibly difficult it is to achieve consistent success on this stage. Over 80 different nations have competed over the years, but only a highly select few have managed to lift the trophy. Brazil stands alone at the top, with 5 World Cup titles, closely followed by European giants Germany and Italy with 4 apiece, and Argentina sitting right behind them with 3. What this tells us is that while the tournament includes the entire world, the ultimate crown has historically been fiercely dominated by heavyweights from South America and Europe. And we absolutely can't ignore the individual and event records. You have Germany's Miroslav Klose, who achieved his record of 16 total goals through incredible consistency across 4 tournaments. Then there's Lionel Messi making a mind-blowing 26 match appearances. His longevity is practically unmatched. And you might be surprised to learn that the USA holds the highest overall tournament attendance from 1994, drawing nearly 3.58 million fans total. That is especially remarkable when you realize they achieved that attendance record back when the tournament only had 24 teams. Section 6, looking ahead to 2026, the biggest World Cup in history. So, after examining the foundation of the past century, the organization is about to take the most massive structural leap in its history. Hosted jointly by the United States, Canada, and Mexico, this upcoming 2026 tournament is designed to shatter every previous record in the books. Just grasp this incredible contrast. We have gone from just 13 teams playing 18 matches in Uruguay back in 1930 to a massive 48 teams playing 104 matches across North America. Nations that have never had a realistic chance to qualify will finally get to experience the magic of the finals. Managing 104 games across 3 massive countries is a monumental task for sure, but it really speaks to the unstoppable global appetite for this sport. The structural shift is huge. Instead of 32 teams, the 48 squads will be divided into 12 groups of 4. You'll see the top 2 advance along with the 8 best third-place finishers, pushing us into a brand new, expanded round of 32 knockout stage. With 16 host cities stretching across 4 distinct time zones, the projected revenue is a staggering $11 billion. That completely underscores the enormous commercial and cultural footprint this event now commands. Notably, Mexico City's legendary Azteca Stadium is going to make history by hosting a World Cup opening match for a record 3rd time. Think about the history there. This is the exact same stadium where Pelé lifted the trophy in 1970 and where Maradona scored both the Hand of God and the Goal of the Century in 1986. Seeing the tournament return to such hallowed ground to kick off the new 48-team era, it's just a perfect bridge between football's glorious past and its expansive future. From Uruguay in 1930 to the modern global spectacle watched by billions, the World Cup has become so much more than just a football tournament. It's a celebration of passion, culture, and unforgettable moments that inspire generations. As it continues to evolve into a multi-billion-dollar cultural titan, history is just waiting to be written again. But I'd love to know, what has been your absolute favorite moment so far? Was it an underdog victory, an undeniable display of individual brilliance like Pelé or Messi, or maybe the pure drama of a penalty shootout? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer. Keep learning, keep watching, and I'll catch you next time.